What makes this scene from The Wolf of Wall Street so perfect? Let's talk about it. It's December 2013. The Wolf of Wall Street releases, directed by Martin Scorsese and starring Leonardo DiCaprio as the eccentric and utterly detestable Jordan Belfort, who is a real person, as you probably knew. The movie follows his equally real and very scandalous lifestyle as a Wall Street stockbroker filled with drugs, sex, and plenty of emotional manipulation and abuse, all the while earning a ton of money and inflating his massive ego. Everybody's favorite kind of movie. I mean it about the money though. This dude has money to burn, quite literally. Over the course of the movie, Jordan destroys multiple very expensive modes of transportation, which include, but are not limited to, a Lamborghini, a private helicopter, and a massive yacht with a second private helicopter on top of it.
Oh my God.
And on top of all of that, he frequently throws money around like it's nothing, has sex on top of money, and uses his money to buy his way out of multiple illegal activities. It should go without saying that Jordan Belfort is a classic example of a scumbag that we all love to hate. Plain and simple. It's safe to say that the movie was met with some mixed reviews from both critics and fans on its depiction of these, we'll say, unique elements. Some look at the film from a satirical perspective, that Scorsese is picking apart this lifestyle as a massive criticism on toxic masculinity. Others feel that the portrayal of sex, hard drugs, and the objectification of women serve to glorify these events of the story and actually promote the lifestyle of Jordan Belfort. I myself have mixed opinions about the movie, but that's not what we're here to talk about. Through its ups and downs, there is one moment near the end of the movie that stands out for me. It's a culmination of every vice that controls Jordan's life. Everything ugly about Jordan Belfort comes together in a moment that really puts on display Scorsese's mastery at writing characters. It all happens in one perfect scene. For those who are unfamiliar, let's recap what got us to this point so we get to know these characters a little bit. By this point in the movie, Jordan is pretty much screwed. After being investigated by the FBI over the course of a few years, Jordan is facing serious legal trouble for stock manipulation, money laundering, the whole 9 yards. After talking about the possibility of wearing a wire and ratting out his friends to reduce his prison time, Jordan's contemplating his options in the bedroom with his wife Naomi, played by Margot Robbie. Here we can tell that Naomi is not all there. By this point, Jordan's cheated on her multiple times. He has put her very life at risk, has likely traumatized her by multiple instances of people being drugged out of their minds in front of her, himself included. You can understand why at this point she's not exactly the president of the Jordan Belfort fan club. These feelings between the two are portrayed in a way that's so visually simple but effective. Jordan rambles on about himself and the possibility of cutting down his sentence. These two are on completely different wavelengths at this point in time. Jordan isn't focused on her at all in a time where she needs comfort more than anything and is clearly dismissive of him. He's worried about nothing but himself. And to convey this, not only are these two sitting far apart with one on the bed and one not on the bed, Naomi is faced away, and for most of the scene as Jordan talks, he is out of focus. Naomi is in the foreground as he talks, and when he is in focus, the few times that he is, Naomi gives very short answers and very dismissive looks.
I know that already.
Right. Exactly. You never did anything wrong in the first place, right?
So we're setting up the tension here. He continues, clearly unaware of her attitude. This moment, though, is the breaking point of their relationship. All the horrible things Jordan has done to her to lead to this moment. Right now, it's the Jordan show, and he looks right past her when she's very clearly distraught. I mean, hell, the father of her kids is facing 20 years in prison, and he's not talking about how that is going to make her feel. And then he has the gall to pressure her into sex. What's important about this scene is that it shows where Jordan's priorities are. Throughout the film, Jordan has been portrayed as someone who cares more about sex and drugs than anything else.
Donnie and I decided to double team her on a Saturday afternoon while our wives were out shopping for Christmas dresses.
He says it himself. He's a drug and sex addict. Hell, in the scene where he admits this, he tries to f the person he's saying it to, who is his wife's aunt, who dies an hour later into the movie.
She hitting on me?
When him and his wife look like they're about to die on a boat, before anything, he screams at his partner Donnie, played by Jonah Hill, to get him his drugs because he doesn't want to
Die sober! Get those loads!
Earlier in the movie, when Donnie was literally dying on the floor, Jordan takes coke to boost him out of his lethargic state caused by a completely separate drug. I mean, he literally watches a scene of Popeye take spinach and, his arm blows up. So in his mind, Jordan is equating eating spinach and getting a power up to taking coke and getting a power up. which is just a kicker. It couldn't be more symbolic of a heavy dependence on drugs. His reliance on drugs also rears its ugly head even earlier when he takes drugs throughout the day in order to sleep through a long flight, which leads him to sexually assaulting multiple women on the flight. What more do you expect from a man who regularly pays to have prostitutes in his place of work? It's in this moment where Naomi decides this is going to be the end. As they do the deed, Jordan says how much he loves her and how he's loved her since the moment he saw her. Although funny enough, there's very few times that he says he loves her outside of sex, if any, from what I can recall. In fact, the first time he met her, all he wanted to do was have sex with her. Every time we have an inner monologue with him, all he's thinking about is how he's gonna be able to fuck her.
Come on, Jordan, think of a way to get up to her apartment. God help me, how do I fuck this girl?
Sex is such a significant driving force for him, and it all comes to a head here. She says to him,
I want you to for me like it's the last fucking time. Yeah.
because that's all he wants, right? And he does, just before finding out it is the last time. And Naomi is done being used as something for sex and as a symbol of wealth and status. Like he says earlier in the movie, if you have a quote ugly girlfriend, just get more money and get a hotter girlfriend.
That person's gonna be pulling up right alongside you in that brand new Porsche with that beautiful wife by their side who's got big voluptuous tits. And who are you gonna be sitting next to? Some disgusting wildebeest with 3 days of razor stubble and a sleeveless muumuu crammed in next to you and a carload full of groceries from the fucking Price Club. Pick up the phone and start dialing. I want you to deal with your problems by becoming rich.
That's all it's been about with Jordan. So she's taking the kids and not letting them see him again.
What the f is that supposed
Jordan,
to mean?
this is how it's gonna go. I'm gonna take custody of the kids. If you agree to the divorce right now, I will allow visitation, okay? Don't try to fight it. It'll save us both a lot of money, and I got a feeling you're gonna need it.
And the kicker here is what he says just after.
With
I
you?
don't love you anymore, Jordan.
You don't love me? Well, isn't that just fucking convenient for you? Now that I'm under federal indictment with an electronic bracelet around my ankle, now you decide you don't fucking love me anymore.
No.
Is that right?
No.
This line shows how short-sighted Jordan is. He thinks that Naomi is just now deciding that she's done with him because he's a convicted criminal and he has an ankle bracelet. He fails to see that this is happening as a consequence of his own actions. We know that he's a horrible person. We know all the bad things he's done up until this point. But until now, while Jordan has been extremely emotionally abusive, he had never been physically abusive. But it's here that he crosses that line.
You fucking
Jordan, who had been sober for about 2 years at this point, breaks. He hits Naomi, verbally berates her, and digs into his secret stash. And in a coke-fueled rage, he hits Naomi a second time, takes their child, and rushes out to the car in an attempt to take even more from Naomi. Not just her dignity, not just her livelihood, but now her own child. He puts the car in reverse and smashes into the stone pillar in his driveway. And as Jordan sits in silence and Naomi takes back their daughter, one stream of blood begins to trickle down his face. And as he sits, he thinks about everything that's come before this. He thinks about where he started from. He thinks about the options laid out in front of him. To go to jail for 20 years and never know his children, or take a settlement and try to change. He thinks about his talk with his wife's aunt and how his rampant drug use has led him to this moment, this scene. One perfect scene. Hope you all have a great day. Don't forget to subscribe. Keep watching.